The Curse of the Duck Story. The story you're about to hear is true, and it happened right here in Thailand. Aunt Jam raises 7 ducks of a breed imported from abroad that has spread throughout Thailand. These ducks aren't like ordinary Thai ducks. The males are 3 times larger than the females. They have a bumpy comb on their heads, and they don't make the loud quack sound of Thai ducks. Instead, they make a hissing sound like rain. In the northeast, they call them duck of the gods or divine ducks. When the females lay eggs, they stay in the nest to incubate them like hens, and then they raise their chicks. Unlike Thai ducks that lay eggs and leave them to their fate, Aunt Jam had been raising them for about 3 or 4 months when one of them disappeared. She went searching every house in the village. One day, a neighbor found that duck lying crouched in its makeshift nest under Aunt Yupa's rice barn. Punky picked it up along with 4 eggs in a bag and said to Aunt Yupa, "My duck, which was missing, ran away and came here. I'm going to take it back home now." When Aunt Yupa heard that, she rushed down the stairs. "You can't take that duck. It's been living under my house for days, and I've been taking care of it, giving it food and water every day. It's mine." "Yupa, that's my duck. I bought it when it escaped from the house. I have to give it back. You're the one who stole it and hid it." That day, the 2 women argued loudly and fiercely, neither willing to back down. After a while, Aunt Yupa snatched the duck from Aunt Jame's hands, slammed it against the house post, and kicked the bag of eggs, scattering them everywhere. The duck thrashed around for a while before dying right in front of them. Aunt Jam walked home crying, devastated. That evening, she went to the village headman's house to report that Aunt Yupa had killed her ducks, vowing to pursue the matter to the fullest extent. The headman then sent someone to summon Aunt Yupa so they could settle the case. Around 7 p.m. At that time, the village headman invited Mr. Vinay's father, who told his story, to participate in judging the case because he was considered a respected elder in the village. At 7 p.m., both the plaintiff and the defendant arrived at the headman's house. 4 or 5 elders also sat and listened. The headman, Royong, asked Aunt Jam about what had happened. Aunt Jam recounted the entire story. Then, the headman turned to ask Aunt Yupa, and she told the same story. The headman then concluded that Aunt Yupa was at fault because she had hidden Aunt Jam's duck and, more importantly, killed it. Those who attended the group unanimously agreed that Aunt Yupa was wrong from the start. They said that when she saw someone else's ducks laying eggs under her barn, she should have announced for the owner to reclaim them. Instead, she kept them for herself. Aunt Yupa couldn't tolerate it any longer and stood up to argue, "They have to be mine because I'm the one who raised them." The village headman, Ruang, then spoke up saying, "Well, if no one agrees to settle, I'll have to report this to the police at the police station so they can proceed with the case." Everyone there felt that this matter shouldn't escalate to the district and the police. It would be better to try to settle it through mediation. So Ruang told Aunt Yupa to pay Aunt Jame 100 baht as compensation and asked everyone if they agreed. Everyone raised their hands in agreement. Aunt Yupa said, "Whatever you decide, I'll do it in order to prevent the matter from getting out of hand." Aunt Yupa agreed. Ruang then turned to Aunt Jame and said, "It's up to the village headman to decide." Once everyone had agreed, they all went their separate ways home. After about 2 months, Aunt Jam felt unwell, experiencing sudden abdominal pain. Her relatives quickly took her to the hospital. When the doctor examined her, he said there was nothing abnormal and that she probably had a congenital stomach ailment. He gave her an injection and medicine to take at home. When she returned home, the stomach pain wouldn't subside. All her relatives agreed that she must have been cursed, perhaps by black magic. So they called for a skilled sorcerer to come and perform a ritual to remove the curse. When the sorcerer arrived, he examined her and confirmed that she had indeed been afflicted by black magic. He then prepared holy water, chanted incantations for about 5 minutes, sprinkled it on her head, and gave her a glass to drink. Within a minute of her drinking the holy water, she was no longer affected. A piece of buffalo hide, about 2 inches long and as thick as a little finger, flew out along with the vomited food. The doctor, Kunsai, said, "That's the real thing. They conjured this piece of buffalo hide into your stomach with magic. If you can't get it out after 7 days, you're dead." "This is considered lucky," said the doctor, turning to the people watching. "Has anyone ever had a grudge against Aunt Jane? Whoever it was, that's who cast the black magic on her." Everyone exchanged nervous glances and whispered amongst themselves. It must have been Yupa. She must have been heartbroken about losing that time, so she hired a black magician to kill Aunt Jane so she could get her revenge. After the magic was removed, Aunt Jane was cured, but one thing remained in the hearts of her relatives: the resentment. They declared that they must get revenge. The relatives told Aunt Jane to go to. Then, Grandpa told him the story. After he finished listening, he said, "If it could do this to us, we can do it to it too. How powerful can it be?" He then instructed Aunt Jane to prepare 5 handfuls of dried chilies, 5 handfuls of salt, and 3 handfuls each of 3 types of thorny plants, and bring them to him within 10 days. When Aunt Jane and her relatives had gathered the necessary items, Grandpa took them to the stream bank. He built a fire, placed 3 types of thorny wood on it, and wrote the names and surnames of his adversaries on pieces of paper, throwing them into the fire. Then he chanted a powerful incantation, Mahaha 7 Tua, over the fire. After that, he told Aunt Jam to sprinkle 1 gram of salt and 1 gram of chili peppers onto the fire, cursing the person to suffer misfortune within a month. Then Grandpa instructed Aunt Jam to sprinkle 5 more of each, completing the ritual. Finally, they helped to throw the charcoal into the water. This kind of cursing ritual has been around since ancient times. As time passed, 25 days later, Aunt Yupa, the perpetrator of the crime, began to experience strange symptoms. She felt burning pain all over her body, and red rashes covered her entire body. These rashes grew larger and larger until they burst into sores, like burns. She felt intense pain, tossing and turning, unable to eat or sleep. Aunt Yupa endured this suffering for 3 days before she died. Before she died, a foul-smelling fluid oozed out, like the stench of a decaying corpse. Do you see, listeners, that the consequences of vengeance, which cannot be appeased by revenge, will eventually catch up with you, right before your eyes? Thank you for listening to Thai Local Tales. I'm Captain Piroj. Until our next journey together, take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode.